No matter where you are, you can never tell when there's a crazy story behind some of your favorite places. Even if you're not a fan of paranormal activities, some of these spooky sites are still worth your time. Whether for their attractive architecture, breathtaking sights, or their interesting histories, we've pulled together a list of some of the scariest places in the world. These spooky destinations are guaranteed to send shivers down the spine of even the bravest thrill seeker. Number 10, Akagara Suicide Forest, Mount Fuji, Japan. Number 10 on the list, Akagara. The local name of this tourist attraction may not raise any eyebrows, especially to the thousands of tourists that visit the site. When you learn that it translates to Suicide Forest, though, it becomes a different story entirely. It's not every day you come across a tourist site named after people taking their own lives. Every year, dozens of people troop into Akagara, a forest that Japanese mythology claims is haunted by demons, half of them trying to take their own lives. Near Mount Fuji, the forest is infamous as one of the world's most popular suicide spots. Stories of suicides aren't new here, but it became more intense after it was recommended as the perfect place to die in the Japanese bestseller, The Complete Manual of Suicide. Yup, someone wrote a book detailing the best ways to kill yourself, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, many people took the book's advice, pushing Japan's suicide rate to its peaks, with Akagara Forest harboring most of the victims. Suicides here are so frequent that police and volunteers conduct monthly searches for bodies that have chosen the forest for their final moments. Still, that doesn't seem to stop tourists, and just for a few bucks, you can take a hike on the long, lonely roads. Number 9, Alcatraz Island, San Francisco, USA. Prisons are generally terrifying places, but there are regular prisons that are probably not as bad. But there is one, the infamous Alcatraz Island, famed as a prison for the notorious and violent criminals in the world. Apart from being one of the most remote and secured prisons in the world, this prison is also known for one other thing: haunted stories. Tourists claim to have spotted the ghost of a young woman in the visitation room, and others have also claimed to have heard helpless cries of those who perished trying to escape the inescapable. The former home to some of the most dangerous criminals is now a famous tourist attraction. Tourists can book a guided tour and learn everything about the prison's infamous past. You can even pay a visit after dark. Who knows, you might even hear the sounds of one of the prison's most notorious inmates, Al Capone, and his banjo playing through the halls. Before we move on, leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be the first watching new episodes. Number 8, Paris Catacombs, France. Underneath the City of Love is something that's anything but cuddly. In case you're wondering what it is, well, just deep underneath the City of Love is a far less mushy part that holds a darker version of the city. Some 6 million Parisians live under here, not as the living, but rather as walls of skulls and bones. Paris's famous catacombs, the largest crypt in the world, are lined with skulls and bones. It all started in the 18th century. Back in the day, Parisians buried their dead in the middle of the town, pretty much anywhere there was usable land. As you can imagine, it didn't take long for things to go wrong. In 1780, heavy rains wrecked the already overcrowded La Innocence Cemetery, sending dozens of decaying corpses tumbling into the building next door. The king decided the best way to tackle the situation was to shut down all of Paris's graveyards and transfer all the bodies to an extensive network of underground tunnels left behind by 13th century limestone miners. Today, tourists can explore about a mile of this underground labyrinth's 200 miles of bone-lined walls, greeted by the friendly inscription, Arrêtez, c'est le château de mort, which roughly means, stop, this is the Empire of Death. Number 7, Crasta Prison, Latvia. There are not many hotels where you have to sign a disclaimer before your stay, but Crasta Prison is no ordinary hotel. This former Nazi military prison is now a boutique hotel where guests can pay to be treated like inmates. Once a working prison for Tsarist, Lithuanian, Nazi, and Soviet regimes for most of the 20th century, it now serves as a museum, attraction, and hotel for people looking for an extreme adventure. If you've ever wondered what prison felt like, then here's your chance. The tourist attraction prides itself in showing visitors the brutal realities of what life was like living in the strict prison regime. What exactly does that mean? Well, besides being under 24-hour surveillance and verbally abused by the guards, you can also look forward to being properly haunted. Apparently, cell doors open and light bulbs come unscrewed on their own and without provocation. Number 6, the Island of Dolls, Xochimilco, Mexico. Mexico is a big and populated country that boasts many attractions. But just off the coast of Mexico City, on a small island surrounded by the canals of Xochimilco, are some unusual inhabitants. The natives of this island are dolls. This haunted tourist attraction was never intended as one. The island is devoted to a little girl who died there under mysterious circumstances. Known as the Island of the Dolls or Isla de las Muñecas, the frightening site is home to hundreds of dolls. So how exactly did these creepy dolls get their little private island? They didn't get tired of playing with little kids and declare independence from humans, if that's what you're thinking. According to the story, the island's caretaker, a man named Don Julian Santana, who lived as a hermit on an island for some 50-odd years until his death in 2001, found a girl drowned in the canal. Not long after he found her, he spotted a floating plastic doll, which he hung in a tree as a mark of respect. Later, he hung more dolls to satisfy the little girl's spirit. Since then, a lot of stories have grown around these dolls. Locals have reported sightings of possessed dolls moving their heads, opening their eyes, even murmuring to each other. Whether the stories are true or not, the fact remains that what started as an innocent gesture has now become one of Mexico's most creepy attractions. Number 5, Door to Hell, Turkmenistan. Okay, pause. There's no way this one wouldn't make it on this list. It's the doorway to hell. Well, not really. The story is less about Hades and more about science. Located in the Karakum Desert, the door to hell became a 230-foot wide burning black hole in 1971 when a group of engineers drilling for oil accidentally tapped into a pocket of natural gas, which caused their drilling rig to collapse and form a crater. Fearing that poisonous methane gas would seep out of the crater, the engineers decided to set the gas on fire. The engineers expected the natural gas reserve they disrupted to burn for a few weeks, but they underestimated the inferno. The door to hell continues to burn to this day. And although it's one of the most dangerous places on Earth, thousands of people troop in to see what the gates of hell looks like, making it one of the most visited places in the Middle East. Number 4, Castle of Good Hope, South Africa. The Dutch India Company built the oldest of South Africa's colonial buildings, the Castle of Good Hope, in the 17th century. It is located in Cape Town and was first occupied in 1674. Initially used as a replacement station for ships passing through the treacherous waters near the Cape, these days it's a breeding ground for different ghosts. The first, a gentleman, who was seen leaping off the castle walls twice in 1915 and then later in 1947. The old bell tower is also said to be haunted. After a soldier was found hanging from the bell rope in the 1700s, the bell tower was sealed off, but witnesses still claim that they hear the bells ringing at random times. One famous ghost also lives in these walls, the Lady in Grey, a young lady that cries as she runs through the castle. One famous sighting of this ghost occurred in 1947, when the royal family was in Cape Town celebrating Princess Elizabeth's 21st birthday. Several members of this party, including Princess Margaret, saw this ghost back then. Legend says she still roams the walls today. Number 3, Chennai Church, Beijing, China. Chennai number 81, or Chennai Church, is famous for being Beijing's most celebrated haunted house. While no records explain why the home was built, there have been countless disappearances connected to the property. At the entrance of Chennai number 81 is a notice saying that there are no ghosts on the property. Sounds like something that a house haunted by a ghost would say. The locals say otherwise. The building is rife with ghost stories. Depending on your luck, you may run into the government official's mistress who killed herself there after their breakup, or a group of 3 drunk construction workers who broke into the building, never to be seen again. Oddly enough, the house is said to be colder than the rest of Beijing, even during the summer. The house is still abandoned though, It's regarded as the most haunted place in Beijing and is still left undisturbed by the people, probably scared of the ghostly householders. Number 2. Kaldara, Rajasthan, India. Haunted houses spring up all the time, but it's not often you see a whole village that's haunted and deserted. Kaldara is a village in Rajasthan, India that has been abandoned since the 1800s. It's believed to be cursed. But what did a whole village do to get cursed out for centuries? Well, it's not what they did, it's more what they didn't do. According to legend, the village was once inhabited by wealthy people, the Paliwan Brahmins. A minister named Salam Singh fell in love with a villager's daughter, and to marry her, threatened villagers with unreasonably high taxes. To save themselves and the girl from the evil minister, the villagers left the place overnight and placed a curse on it. It is believed that no one can live there in peace, as an evil aura lurks in the town till date. Number 1. Monte Cristo Homestead, Australia. A baby flung down the stairs, a maid pushed from the balcony, a stable boy burned alive, a caretaker murdered, a mentally disabled man tied up for 30 years, and a homeowner killed by an infection caused by a starched collar. Take your pick. There's enough to scare you in this Victorian mansion. Built by Christopher Crawley in 1884, his wife, Elizabeth Crawley, inherited the house after he died in 1910. She never got over her husband's death and spent the rest of her life alone in the mansion, allegedly leaving the house only twice before she died. After she died, her ghost didn't leave her former house, occasionally dropping in and announcing her presence with ice-cold air. Since then, other violent events in the house have triggered some supernatural incidents. A maid once plummeted to her death from the upstairs balcony, and the figure of a woman in period dress has been seen walking around the veranda to the blood-stained steps where she fell. A stable boy who burned to death in his bed at the hands of his master is thought to haunt the coach house, while the ghost of a mentally disabled man named Harold wanders the grounds. If you're brave enough, the house currently operates as a B&B, offering dinner followed by a ghost tour where you can learn all about its gruesome past. Thanks for watching. Leave the comment down below and let us know what's the scariest thing on this list. Don't forget to subscribe for new and upcoming episodes.